Hey.
Everybody, welcome to the Lawrenceburg Redevelopment Commission for May 13th, 2024. We start with a roll call.
Executive Director Brian Messmore,
Finally here and present.
President Richard Richardson,
Present.
Vice President Lenny Fryman,
Here.
Secretary Kevin Schaefer is absent, Member Janie Wilson, here, Member Brian Johnson,
I am here.
School Board Member Aaron Shepard, here, City Attorney Del Weldon.
Here.
All right, thank you. Ms. Hermish, if we've had time to look over the meeting minutes from April the 8th, 2024, I'll take a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And Mr. Messmore, under announcements, I think you've got one you wanted to discuss.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, it came to our attention this week that Blacklist, our skateboard shop right across the street, has been in business for 20 years. So just wanted to, since we really appreciate our small business owners in downtown Lawrenceburg, we wanted to give him a shout out to Joe Hughes, who's the owner of Blacklist. Congratulations to him. I picked up a couple notes. Skate shop started around 2004. I think that's back when they were starting to build a skate park back in those days. And he was an employee. And around about 2009, Joe purchased the building and the business, and the rest is history. So congratulations to Joe Hughes and family and Blacklist in downtown Lawrenceburg.
And we still haven't got Brian Messmore on a skateboard. have
I
we?
used to have a skateboard.
You did? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
Didn't have the wheels like they do today, though.
All right, we
Probably
have
used steel wheels back then,
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
you?
steel
Yeah.
wheels.
Yeah.
That old?
Yeah.
I'll just say I'm leaving that one alone.
You better
Back when Lenny did it, they used stone wheels.
chisel them
Yeah.
out.
Rock wheels.
All right, Ms. Hermish, you want to provide the financial report for us?
As of May 6, 2024, the balance for redevelopment is $2,703,429.48.
Does anybody have any questions about that? We've been provided more detailed information in our packets, of course.
Whatever format I sent is what they sent me.
Under new business, we have got Director Messmore for 533 West High Street approval. Again, that has been provided in our packets for review.
Yeah, 533 West High, right next to 531 West High, right across the street from 542 West High. We have in your packets the plan for that home there, construction. It meets all criteria. The plans are included, so I recommend we vote for the approval and moving forward on 533 West High.
Looks great. Does anybody have any questions about it? If not, I take a motion to approve the 533 West High Street.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on, we have now got 342 Short Street, new construction projects there as well. And again, that's been provided in our packets.
Yeah, included in your packets. It does meet all the criteria. Plans are included. I recommend vote for approval.
Yeah, the houses do, they both look really nice. They'll be great additions to the city. Do we have a motion to approve 342 Short Street?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion does carry. Moving down the agenda, we have got 531 West High Street, or I'm sorry, 556 West High Street split consolidation.
Yeah, so hang in there with me on this one for just a minute. So the neighbor, the property owner neighbor, is interested in 556 West High. The plan would be for them to buy 556 West High. They would split their lot 55 out of 566 West High. They would consolidate the two and then build new construction meeting all of our requirements. So, is it reasonable for us to accommodate that interest from the neighbor who wants to build their own home and move downtown? I'm in favor. I think that's a reasonable suggestion. So, what I would recommend this evening is about just to proceed, which we would ask them to complete their survey on 566. Then they would present to, just like every other home, present that home through our professional services agreement with Low Miller Real Estate, and if it meets all the criteria, present it to us, and we feel confident at that time. Now, remember, we have not sold them the lot, and that survey split has not been consolidated. But we would have that last opportunity to look at that house on that proposed new lot and approve it at that point.
They own the lot next to it.
That's correct.
We're not giving them two lots.
No,
We're not making our lot smaller.
no, they are making our lot bigger with property that they already own.
So is there what's on that existing lot that they have?
It's a big yard.
Just a big yard?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of yard there that they could split off from their current home. It's a rental.
So it's.
So they'll make a lot that's 30 feet wide, 40 feet, 45 feet wide, which will accommodate the house that we're requiring.
What were the addresses again, Brian?
556 is our lot.
556.
Yes. 566 is the next lot prior to the last house on
So
the
that's
street.
existing owner,
Yeah,
and they want to buy the 556.
yeah.
Are they going to pay for all the
Yes,
surveying and everything?
yes,
Are they going to live in it?
yes.
They're going to live there.
So again,
And this is just a vote to proceed.
this is a vote to proceed for them to go ahead and get their survey done so they know what that lot, what the parameter of that new lot would look like, so they can make sure that their house construction plans fit within that lot. And if that's the case, they bring that in, or we receive that, and if it meets all our criteria, then we would agree to sell them that land and transfer it once it's been consolidated. I suppose there's a time frame there.
So we would be holding that.
Until, until they come in here with a suitable construction plan that meets all of our requirements, and then we would agree then, and only then, to proceed.
Move forward and sell.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to proceed.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move on to 531 West High Street Extension.
Well, we no longer need that. That closed on 5/10, last Friday.
Situation's resolved itself, okay. 542, and we'll move on down the line here. We've got a pretty hefty schedule here. 542 West High Street secondary structure. If you remember, this was discussed at the previous meeting, but I'll let Brian expand on that.
Okay, 542 West High, that was the Sandlands. We approved on April 8th meeting, and with a discussion about the materials to be used for the secondary structure, or the garage. I was contacted by the Sandlands. They were concerned, somewhat confused, and kind of felt like they got caught up in the discussion and kind of nodded themselves along, agreeing with what was being noted along the way. Since that discussion, they've indicated to me that they prefer to build the structure using metal siding. It meets local code and ordinances. I feel that, perhaps, we may have chosen a different direction early on. We did not stipulate the criteria on the secondary structure when we advertised the lot. And the Sandlands invested their time and money in planning and preparing those plans. So I felt that, and I would recommend that we vote to allow them to proceed as they originally planned.
What is it now? They're not gonna have the siding on the outbuilding match the house?
It's as they originally planned, it's metal siding.
Oh, we didn't want that. So we didn't want metal siding.
I don't care if it's metal siding or not. It meets all other local code and ordinances.
Is it visible from the street?
Maybe if you have an angle when you're driving down the road, if you look between the houses at an angle. They just built one across the street. Anyway, bottom line is, when they got involved in buying that lot, there was no criteria on the secondary structure. All we said was, meet the housing instructions and follow all other local codes and ordinances. So,
Any discussion?
Well, here's my question. I mean, if they've already got one across the street that they just build with metal, I know there's another one over there on, when you're coming down Argosy Parkway. Greg McAdams built that nice new house over there. Got a pole barn with metal siding right behind it. I think it looks nice. I mean, I don't care. I think it's totally acceptable. So I would support it. So that's my motion.
You're making a motion for 542 West High Street,
Yep.
secondary structure to be as was originally intended by the owners,
Metal.
metal. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I think for consistency, that's the best thing to do.
Who made the
Yeah.
second?
Yeah.
We've done it before.
Who made the second?
Moving down, we have M&M,
I mean, we haven't done it before.
we have M&M,
The city allows it.
We had Lou Miller talk to them about making the outbuilding match the house, because I know people have pole barns in downtown Lawrenceburg, but it's not ideal to have a pole barn downtown Lawrenceburg. But if that's, I mean, that was why Lou Miller asked them to just have the siding on the outbuilding match the house. Just to let you know what the background was. And he asked them and they said yes, and then we voted and approved the plans.
I didn't ask Andy to ask him to change it. So,
Okay.
all right, we've got M&M's second amendment.
yep. All right, so you recall from the last meeting, we talked about the process of negotiating everything, getting through, trying to get the project started prior to this year's event season. We were unable to do that. So we went back and said that we would basically just review the contract, change the dates to reflect starting back up following this event season and being completed prior to next event season. And those dates are in the contract, roughly starting in 10/1 and completion of 24, completion 5/31/25. And this is all associated with the wall. And those are dates that are basically right after the last event and right before the first event. So those are why those dates were chosen. So there are no other changes I'm aware of anyplace else in the contract other than that. Those being the only changes, Dell, I guess my recommendation was that we would vote for approval.
I got one question when it comes to that. So they said we got a contract to finish by 5/31. What if they're not done by the next event season? We're just gonna kick it out till, finish it after?
Well, I think Dell and I had this conversation along the lines of the what-ifs, and we've tried to protect ourselves from all the what-ifs that we can.
What about a penalty clause?
There's not any reason for them not to be able to complete that work in that period of time. That, I mean, then they would be in violation of the contract at that point.
But there's no remedy.
But what would be
Yeah,
the-
Nothing would happen to them.
Yeah.
No, just like I said, just throwing it out there like a penalty clause. Has any of that ever been discussed? You know, it's like if a contractor doesn't deliver in time, they pay a $100 a day penalty, or I'm just throwing it out there and asking, was that ever discussed? Or, I mean, some
Not that
people won't bite on it, and, you know, that might even break a deal. I just wondered if it had ever been discussed even.
Not that particular, we discussed a lot of things.
So basically, if they're, go past the 5/31, just no harm, no foul, just finish it up after the event season?
Well, at 5:30, if after that, I just don't anticipate that, but I guess if that were the case, we'd probably have.
Discuss it at that point?
Yeah, and kind of,
Just a question. I mean, it'd be to their benefit to have it done
yeah.
by then, because obviously they can't make money if it ain't done. So, just curious.
Anybody want to make a motion for M&M's Second Amendment?
I'll make that motion.
We have a second.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And on the same topic of M&M, we have a draw request number 1. It's been provided in our packets.
Yeah, in your package, you'll see, this would be a draw against our $300,000 that we set aside for the upfront work on the wall. These are expenses largely related to, you can see, in preparation for the wall, including architectural and engineering, survey for the property, and some professional services included in those numbers. And we have the detail of that. Ms. Hermish, we have the detail of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This would be a draw of $58,995. Anybody have any questions about that? Not, is there a motion to approve the draw request number 1?
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. If there's no additional new business, move on to old business, which we have the Main Street report. That, again, has been provided in our packets. If you have any questions in regards to that, Michelle's always willing to sit down and talk with us about those. And then we've got the tax credit housing.
Yeah, I don't have much of an update on that. We met this morning, conference call. The application this year is, did benefit some rural communities. There are actually also some points if we can tie this application to READY funding. So we've got a couple meetings set up between now, tomorrow, and Monday to try to understand exactly what that means. The application's due July 29th. We've been approved for READY funding in the region. However, we have not, we've submitted a letter of interest, for lack of better words, but we have not completed the RFP, which has not been created yet. So we're somewhere in between, and I'm not sure how READY and the IEDC, how they contemplate how we fit into that, if at all. So working through some struggles there. But at this point, it's a 54 unit, roughly $15.6 million project, that just starting out, but that's where we're at right now. The gap in funding right now is about $1 million. You know, and again, this is not complete level of detail yet, but so that's kind of where we're, gap funding we'd be looking for from READY, given the opportunity.
Ryan, how many units are in the Whiskey City apartment complex?
200.
So we're talking about basically the same amount of money for a 54 unit versus a 200 unit?
Well,
So my numbers serve me, wasn't it about 16 million?
that was over 30.
Okay, our contribution from the city was half of that, 15. So that's how.
Yeah.
Okay. But still, man, the numbers don't really add up.
Well,
It was 30 million for 200 units and 15 for 54. Seems like,
yeah, but we don't have to pay the 15.
no, I understand that.
Yeah.
You see
But-
where I'm coming from.
Yeah, but there's also scales of going up and duplication of the design. They had to build the garage, which was a non-revenue generating structure. And that's where a large portion of that gap originated. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to get 300 parking places or whatever they ended up with. So, but yeah, if you look at it, just, it's a little different, but that's what the construction costs are at this point.
Yeah, just like I said,
Yep.
a couple years ago, it's 30 million for 200 units, and now we're looking at 15 for a quarter of that.
It's like the grocery store.
Yeah, I keep wondering when it's gonna top out.
Oh, when was that? That was 2020 or 2019, 2018, 2019, somewhere in there? I mean, things have significantly increased in
Everything's gone up.
price,
Yeah.
for sure. Any other questions? Anything else under old business?
I do have one item I just wanted to make the board aware of. A buyer's representative reached out to me and asked that we consider including fees for buyer brokers in the transactions for these lots. And I discussed it with Brian and with the Lowmiller Group. And the way that these projects are advertised, it says in the advertisement that no commission will be paid to the buyer broker. But there are situations, and probably most situations, or more often than not, where the buyer will have a realtor, but it seems to be the consensus that the buyer would pay that cost. And the buyer has been paying that cost if they have a realtor helping them for these particular lots, just because we set out and wrote the advertisements where we're not paying a realtor either way. We're not paying a seller broker either. The loan group is acting as our advisor here, but we pay them as professional services. We pay them as a consultant to help us structure the entire deal. So we're not paying like real estate commissions. We're not just selling these lots and paying buyer commissions or seller commissions. The loan group is listing all of them, but we're paying them as professional services as an expert consultant in real estate. And then the other benefit is that obviously they can list them on MLS and close the deal. So we could pay buyer broker fees, but that's not what Lowmiller advises. They advise that if the buyer has a fee that they have to pay their own broker, that they pay that, and then if there's an offset to that during the negotiations for the cost of the lot or whatever, I mean, that would come up in the same category as the title search, title insurance, all the other soft costs that you have during a closing. But this was requested, so wanted to put it forward to you, and if you decide you want to pay a broker fee to the buyer realtor, that would be different than what we've been doing, and that would be different than what we've listed it as, but it's been requested.
I wouldn't
I wouldn't
think we would want to change it.
No, because there's probably costs that, we've incurred, maybe like taking down trees or clearing the lot or removing structures or whatever, that we're not gonna get any money back from that at all. So in this case, I'd say go with Mr. Lowmiller's recommendation for sure.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and that's right, and that's one of the reasons why we're not just doing a traditional put it on the market, pay the realtors commissions, because we have a bunch of costs that, we had to acquire these lots, we had to demo the old house. We had
Sure.
to remediate the lots. We're not doing this to
Mow
make
the
money,
lawns.
we're doing this so that people, wonderful people can build wonderful houses, and we're kind of we're bridging the gap. So if it's a pure profit project, that's not what we're interested in. We're interested in helping have brand new homes downtown, which is what we're accomplishing. Okay, thank you all, and I'll let them know.
Thank you, Dell.
Everything goes
Take it.
well, we only have one lot left,
Cool. That's great. That's out of government.
236 East High.
If we've had a chance to review the claims, I'll take a motion to approve those.
So move.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Comments from the audience? Not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Ooh, everybody wants that one. Lenny,
Second.
motion, second.
Aye.
Aye. Janie, all in favor, aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Well, thank you. Good luck, neighbor. Thank you.
Mine too.